All right, welcome back everyone to another Bipoc session with Bipoc String Quartet. And what I'm thinking, we did a warm up for like the first session, and now I think it'd be nice to just do a little exercises on specifically on vibrating vibrato. And I've seen all sorts of presentations on it because you can go on YouTube and it's like just look at vibrato on string instruments and there's like 1,000 sources of insight. And some of them are like 40, 50 minutes long. You're not going to get that here. We're just sticking with 846 for this vibrato. So we get that going. Okay, so we're going to just go right back to where we were with the warm-up. As you recall, the warm-up involved just kind of greeting the day, right? You're just kind of the way you greet the day, you greet your instrument, right? You just run your hands, over it. Think about that octopus that is exploratory. That every arm, it's like apparently every atom in its body somehow contributes to its ability to move, react. Very like a unified animal. Okay, and just think about that with your hand now. Is that this left hand, that's the hand that's doing a lot of precision work, right? Very precise. The bow's precise too, but in a different way, right? I mean, it's hard to describe the necessary dexterity needed, right, in your hand to do this kind of thing that we were doing in warm-up, right? Just, pressing down the strings in a specific spot to produce the correct note, right? So our hands are warmed up, and at this point we've been doing the same thing with our bow, right? Trying to keep it, and one thing I forgot to mention too is when you're doing this warm-up, one way to work on the necessary ability for both hands to do different things, because what ends up happening is like you want to just do the same tempo, hand wants to just be at the same time, but when you start just doing different things with your hands, it becomes a need to really concentrate deeply on what both hands are doing. And so during your warm-up, that's one of the things that you can do to make it through that 8-minute and 46-second warm-up that we discussed in the previous episode. And so now our hands are warmed up and we're ready to start thinking about the most fundamental approach to vibrato, which should be an approach that any adult beginner can initiate on their first day. Just because maybe that's why they picked up the instrument, is they're like, I heard a gorgeous vibrato in this particular piece, on this particular night, in this particular, environment, and I want to hear that again. I want to work towards producing that. And so the first thing is just going to be like this, super slow, and all you're doing is you're just putting your finger down on the string, and you're just sliding your fingers like this. That's how you do it, right? Just sliding your fingers. And the key word here and throughout every moment of vibrato is relaxation. This left hand, and now I'm going to be my teacher now. The left hand must be loose, the loosest hand, just barely has any life in it, right? But yet has amazing life in it as well. So it's like a contradiction, right? It's got to be super relaxed, but yet also super supple and agile, right? And so that's, as part of your warm-up is already actually starting to develop a beginning concept and approach of vibrato that you can start very early on, right? And what does that develop into? That eventually develops into kind of leaving a finger down, like you can give the feeling that like you put a little super glue down and like, oh, now your finger's stuck. And now you just keep doing that same motion. And I'm going to let you see the hand a lot closer, and I'll slow it down. So you're just going out and back, and the finger just kind of stays down. And there's one more thing that's probably worth mentioning. It's really nice if when you start doing this, you actually support the scroll. Like you can, just stand next to a bookcase, and so you can, while you're doing these techniques, you're not worried also about lifting up the instrument, right? That just is one more additional challenge, right? And so we want to make learning as easy as possible. So go ahead and support that scroll, okay? Now, we're alternating between sliding motions. This would be sliding, right? Your fingers, this is already a way to kind of slightly start developing some calluses because you are putting some friction into the strings and your fingertips, and that's of course what's going to give you some calluses over time. Alternating back and forth, sliding, and then sliding, and then kind of stuck, right? And nice and slow. And you can just see, I like to use a finger that's strong, that feels really good, which is that finger. This finger, this little guy right here, not so into it, but you gotta challenge all of them, because you do want to get a nice sound with all of your fingers, right? Because otherwise you'll be racing to play in one spot with a finger because, wow, that finger's like really strong, when really what you need to do is just keep working on each finger, right? All your fingers are important. And you can put all four down, and you can go into like a sliding motion. And I'm gonna stretch it out like that, slide it out like that. And then you can go back to individual fingers. So you got, third finger, fourth finger. And by the way, it's a lot easier to model this without the bow, because you don't hear what it sounds like. You're just like, oh, I guess I'm gonna sound good, but we don't know, right? Because all you see is the finger. Okay, so there's your middle finger right there, and you're gonna want to work that middle finger just like all the others. And you move back to ring. Get that little guy in the action, right? Okay, and okay, we got just a couple minutes left here, and that can be several weeks right there of initial introduction, right? And that's what we're going to focus on. We'll call this like the first 3 to 4 weeks, is just that, and then increasing speed, you don't have to jump with the bow right away. I mean, trust me, you may not want to hear what it sounds like. Okay, you just go ahead and keep working that. We'll get the bow in there next session, maybe we'll get the bow in there. But this already right here is a big push, right? In those first 3 or 4 weeks, to just get that feeling of moving those, keeping it in place and moving it, and then sliding it. Right? What does the sliding do? And kind of, you can experiment with a little bit of, put some flow into it, put some up and down. I mean, but you are, you keep coming back to this angle along your hand like that, and kind of keeping it like that, right? But how the fingers move individually, you can be just relaxed. That's the main thing. I'm just going for a relaxed feeling. Okay, about another 30 seconds here. And so I'm going to give you a look from this angle. So you got your first finger, second finger, you got your third finger, and you got your fourth. You got all your fingers working for you here. Right, you see that? Okay. And then main thing is that nice angle right there. Okay. And I want to just say this is a honor and a privilege to share vibrato techniques for an adult beginner. And there's our bell. And I look forward to seeing you again next time.